what would you like to start with? Maybe the script or kind of the working process of the film?
I can start with the script.
Yeah.
When I first wrote it, he was quite unambiguously innocent, so it went through a big change. I did quite a lot of research, which was interesting, not very nice, but important. And so a couple of lines from the script come from the research I did. I think the worst thing that I found was someone who, he had a collection of images, and he'd said, oh, how could it be bad? The children were smiling. So that's where, so that's where the line about having happy with it came from. I got the actors on board quite early on in the script writing process, and I was a bit worried about making him a bit more of a dodgy character because of Ed playing him, but Ed was like, oh, that's much more interesting to play.
It's always the way with actors, the dodgy the better, genuinely, that's what it's like. Very interesting that you got a rather famous actress in your film. I'm sure you all spotted the lady from Downton Abbey, so is there a story you can tell us about that?
She wasn't famous when I attached her to the film. I go to a lot of drama school finishing performances. So I first saw her when she graduated from Guildhall in her final year, and she blew everyone else off the stage. So I knew that I wanted to work with her. I didn't know her, and by the time I'd finished, well, not finished the script, but got it at an acceptable level to show actors, she was doing quite well. She'd done things at the National, and so it was quite a random way that I got in contact with the actors. I used to do ADing, and I had an amazing runner on this one film who claimed that he'd never been a runner before, but he knew everything. And then the next time I needed a runner, I called him, and he was like, oh, I'd love to, but I'm on stage at the National. So then it turned out he's an actor, hence why he knew everything. And then it turned out he graduated from RADA in the same year as Ed. So I asked him to suggest me as a friend to Ed on Facebook.
Good old Facebook.
Yeah, and then Ed liked the script and wanted to do it, and so, because all actors are friends, he passed the script to Michelle.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. Obviously, finished so well. Your post-production, I imagine, did that take quite a long time?
Yeah, I think the thing that took the longest was because we didn't have the money to be at the front of the queue. We had to. I think you probably saw there quite a lot of people from Ascent on the credits. They were really, really good, but we had to fit in around their big feature jobs, so there was some patience involved there.
Well, that's quite interesting. Is that kind of advice you could offer maybe to new filmmakers if they're looking to get a really professional job done on editing and finishing your films? Even if you're approaching these great companies, is it always worth it in terms of kind of waiting for the companies to work around you?
Yeah, I think you can get so much better stuff. I mean, with everything, it took time. We had to wait for Ed and Michelle to be free. At the same time, then we had to wait for the lenses we wanted to be on the shelf at Panavision, and then we had to wait for the start of Descent. But I think they all want to help young filmmakers, but obviously they have to prioritise their big paying clients.
It's always the way. It's true. Fantastic, thank you. So are there any questions from the audience about this film? There should be millions of questions. Yeah, I'll take the question from the back.
Oh,
hello.
Just a comment, really. I was really impressed by the prisoners when we have that scene where the visitors come into the prisoners. Obviously, it's very difficult to be able to do that. So I wondered whether that was a set designer doing something really creative there, or whether you actually got into a prison, or how did that work? It's really good.
We got permission from we're not allowed, I'm not allowed to name the prison, they were quite specific, but the exterior is a real prison. But the interior, the rules for going into a prison are quite strict, so although they were very helpful, ultimately we couldn't film in a prison. But my godmother runs a charity for the families and friends of prisoners, so she helped to try and get things realistic, although sadly, because of the expense of the costume is actually incorrect for a prison guard, but as close as we could afford.
I don't think anyone really noticed. No. Perfectionist directors, I don't know. Fantastic, thank you. There was a question over here as well. Hello, sir.
Hello there. Sorry, Adele, is it?
Aimee.
Aimee, of course. It's not a question, it's a statement. I had a friend, well, I still have a friend, who had to go through something like that, what we've just witnessed, and from a person who has known somebody who has had to go through, so it's a bit of a mood killer, I know, but it is true, and it's because it's a very real subject that you're dealing with, and I know that person, and she had to go through that, and what you've done is beautiful and absolutely stunning, and I might actually just try and show her that and say there are people out there who are actually trying to get this message across, and absolutely stunning.
Oh,
that's all I can say.
That's fantastic. I think that's a really, really good place to oh, we've got another question.
Oh, sorry, yeah. You said you changed your mind when writing the script.
Yeah.
The main male character was unambiguously innocent. What made you change your mind, and what did it teach you about storytelling?
I think it was a really interesting journey actually, because I was playing things very safe, and it is quite a controversial interview subject, and you feel like you have to, obviously you have to take it seriously, but you also have to be sensitive, and you don't want to offend people. But then I was working on the script, and it just wasn't really ever, I did 16 drafts, I think, and it just wasn't getting to a point where I felt like it could be made. And then I realised from some conversations that I had with Ed, that it was holding back quite a lot, and that I wasn't being as brave as I should be. So I think actually, because also there was a lot of debate over the more explicit lines, but I think if you're going to talk about something, I ultimately decided you either talk about it or you don't talk about it. You can't like pussyfoot around it. So that's why I changed it. And also because Ed was willing to be guilty.
Again, dodgy actors. That's brilliant. Are there any other questions from the audience? Yes, John.
Can we have some information about Aimee's next project?
Yes, Aimee's next project. Tell us about it.
I'm writing another short film, which is kind of it's about celebrity and the Faustian pact with the press. And I'm writing a feature that's set in the 30s in East Tennessee, about a family like isolated on the periphery of society.
Really great, kind of very deep projects again, kind of very complex storylines as well.
Yeah, I like a film with a sad ending.
Cool, that's absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Aimee.